going there, I had to ride my bike because I was going from one event to the audition, and it was the Lechner Hall, fall kickoff barbecue, whatever, where we're just all hanging out.
Smart guy dorm, by the way, where both of you lived.
Yeah, we were nerds.
They had like anklets that wouldn't let me near there.
Alert,
beep, beep,
alert,
beep, beep,
high
beep,
fives incoming.
BeatiDudes! All right, BeatiDudes. Welcome to another Monday episode of the BeatiDudes, a show for Christian men that are just on this journey to follow, to know, to love Christ, all for Jesus, but doing it together in authentic fraternity, which makes us the #1 fraternity podcast in America.
Not a joke.
Not a
that
joke.
sounds fun.
Yeah.
Cornering the market on Greek fraternities somehow.
Just that word. We happen to capture the SEO.
And y'all got bad podcasts. That's all I'm telling you. My name's Jeff Scheffelbein. I'm wearing the BeatiDudes polo that's not available on our site. But I'm joined by Nick Besner.
I am wearing something that's available on our site.
By wearing, could you explain?
It's laid across me.
It's not the BeatiDudes shawl. This is the, how do you call the color? It's called like a marbleized.
This is like the gray-blue marble pattern exclusive for fall 24. As sweater weather fast approaches, you might want to get something for your loved one to get cozy in.
There you go.
Okay, BeatiDudes.com/something. It's pretty easy to find on the website.
TheBeatiDudes.com.
Oh, yeah.
BeatiDudes.
Literally, I never try to mess this up. And I was purposely being vague and I got worse.
Yeah.
All good.
And speaking of flannel, the #1 flannel wearer.
You took my one thing. What are you wearing, Paul?
Paul Kolker.
That's right. I'm wearing flannel that I purchased at a Goodwill.
You did?
Actually, it was a Plato's Closet, I think, but it's the same thing.
Yeah, that's just high end. That's like the ritzy.
It was basically the Goodwill in Plano. It was near Dave Moore's house. I happened to need a shirt before an improv show, and so I went and snagged one.
Did Dave say, I could have just given it to you because he probably donated it? He bought it?
He might have. Yeah, yeah.
Hey.
I didn't grow any extra facial hair, though, as a result.
You tried.
I really tried, yeah.
And then speaking of facial hair, or the lack of hair above the neckline,
That's an easy one.
we have. But he has no hair.
I understand.
He's got eyebrows.
It's only because
Barely.
I just shaved.
No.
Mike Murray. Michael the Murray. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, Jeff.
Man, you have been listening to this show through the walls and halls of Lucid Private Office.
Right there. Yes.
LucidPrivateOffice.com for a long time. And I feel like this was this really neat dance we did. It was like, when is Mike going to bring up the BeatiDudes? Because you knew someday I would ask, could you be on the show? And like, he outlasted me from a patient's perspective. You never asked once.
Well, no.
No. Did you want to come on the show?
Of course.
Okay.
I joked with Nick about it, and I said Nick said I would be on show, the backup guest on show 378. So I was just biding my time. Yeah.
No, I seriously, at the very beginning, I was like, okay, we can't have too many people loaded up here. And then I'd walk by you and I'd talk to you every day. And I was like, this is almost an act of fortitude on my side. Don't ask him, Jeff. Don't ask him. And then
I'm happy to be here.
So welcome to the show. You made it in like half the time, record speed.
Yeah, that's
we're
awesome.
I did, yeah.
You know, I thought we could start off the show. I want to share what my day was. Once a semester, sometimes twice, I do the wake up at 3 a.m., make a pot of coffee, stick it in the carafe or whatever you call that thing.
It's a carafe.
Thank you. Somebody called it a carafe the other day, and it really frustrated me.
It's pronounced giraffe.
Oh, yeah. I stuck it right in that long neck and started driving on down. I guest lectured in Texas A&M this morning at 8 a.m.
Gig 'em.
Gig 'em. Right back at you.
That's
so,
not anywhere close to Irving.
No.
if you don't understand maps, it's 3 hours from here. Yeah. I arrive a little before 8. I freshen up my voice, lots of singing, and then I go and give an hour-and-a-half lecture before turning around and driving back. But let me ask you this. Wait, Mike, where'd you go to school? Where's your college?
Catholic U in D.C.
Really?
Yeah.
Look at you.
You didn't know that?
CUA?
Yeah, see you later.
The Catholic University of America.
All right. Okay.
That's the title.
Well, like, this hits me. We're all Aggies, me, Paul, and Nick. And, of course, we got CUA, the big Catholic over here. I actually love CUA, by the way.
Yeah.
Good.
But I was like driving through campus and had these moments of like, I remember this when I was little and I visited, when I was a college kid, when I was coming back after, when I was dating my wife, like all this stuff. And so I thought I would throw out 3 college questions about you.
Ooh,
so
nice.
that the BeatiDudes fans out there can get to know each one of us.
Sure.
All three of us answer this. And it's kind of a weird mix. One is just describe us who you were in college a little bit. Like it could be exactly who you are now, and that's fine. It could be a different version. Like a little bit of who you were. Share just some random story, like something that, like as I'm asking you this, you're like, oh yeah, you're going through like just a story about you in college. And then the easiest one I think is name a class that you really enjoyed. And for me, it was a surprise class that I really enjoyed. So I know that's a lot to ask. So we're going to kind of weave this together.
Sure.
I'll go first because I knew I was going to ask you all this. The class I liked the most, and I forget
you're starting with the last question first.
Yeah.
Okay.
The last shall be first. It's a biblical moment.
I wanted to bring some emphasis to that.
Thank you. And I'm also the last of a lot of stuff, so I'll go first. I loved business law, which that blew me away. I thought it was going to be a boring class, and I was like, oh, this is fascinating. The professor was great. He actually went on to start the Star of Bethlehem Institute and used his legal research to prove that the Star of Bethlehem was real, and he travels around doing this. That's his full time.
I've seen his talk.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, he's my business law professor.
That's wild.
Amazing. Yeah.
I totally forgot that. And I kind of devoured it. I thought maybe I'll be a lawyer, but then I was like, oh, wait, it was just that one class I enjoyed.
Trust me, it takes a lot more than that.
We're going to hear about Mikey. You got a legal degree, don't you?
That's right.
I do.
Yeah, from Catholic University of America?
No, from Southern Methodist University of
You
Dallas.
got a lot. Oh, my
Of
goodness.
America.
Of America.
SMUA.
Take a step down.
All right, who I was in college, I was somebody that you, even though I like this concept of the undivided life, if you knew me in class, you'd think I was an introvert. If you knew me out in the public, you'd think I was too wild to go to class. And if you knew me in the like involved student organization world, I was probably one of the most responsible people I know. But all three of those versions of me were okay being shirtless.
Surprise! Surprise! The class-going version of you.
Show up to business law.
Sunday morning.
Oh,
Wait.
so sorry.
This is illegal, professor.
What? Am I breaking the law?
I object.
There's a statute of limitations on these biceps.
No limitations.
There's a statute of me limitations. I don't know what this means. But and then my last story that I'll tell you is
I love it.
I had this vision today. There was a part of campus that I went through this like 2-week phase where I just stand in the middle of all these people over by the chemistry building and just say, can I get a high five? As people were walking up. And I became the high five guy. I could get double high fives, single high fives. If people didn't high five, I'd still bless them on their way by. And I'd have people come up and be like, are you like doing a fraternity prank? And I'm like, no, but do you want a high five?
I love it. Because now people will be like recording it for their TikTok or whatever. You were just like,
Just doing
I'm
it.
Jeff.
Yeah.
This is me. This is my life.
And let me tell you, high fives work in all nations. I did it in New York City. Less percentage
different
do
nation.
it. Yes, but they still do it.
New York City.
It's the melting pot.
Oh, okay.
I got every nation in one block.
Yeah, you get every
nationality, every ethnicity. Okay, now I have followed you through the circuitous.
I've worked with you long enough to
I
put
don't
it through the
see
Jeff filter
ethnicity.
and know what he actually means.
Yeah, I don't
He's
know.
directionally accurate, right?
Yes.
Yes.
There you go.
Mike.
Yeah.
I
All
love
right.
that.
That was my college package in a
Package,
box.
yeah.
Who's going next? Paul?
I can go. Sorry.
Yeah.
So what was the
Like, who were you? Like, describe us
okay,
a little bit,
so
class and a story.
Surprising class.
So here's the deal. I really was going after two things, I would say. Freudian slip at the time was the improv. troupe. I auditioned as a freshman. Here's the story. So the story about me going there, I had to ride my bike because I was going from one event to the audition, and it was the Lechner Hall, fall kickoff barbecue, whatever, where we're just all hanging out.
Smart guy dorm, by the way, where
I was
both
in
of you
Lechner.
lived.
Yeah, we were nerds.
They had like anklets that wouldn't let me near there.
Alert! High fives incoming. So I hopped on my bicycle after like an hour of, because I didn't want to miss the dorm kickoff thing. So I hopped on my bike, rode across campus basically because they held it over on West Campus.
Yeah.
And rode all the way over to Rudder to do the audition. On the way there was some construction. I spilled out on my bike on a bunch of gravel because I was so hyped to go do this audition. I fell over, scraped up my arm. I think you can even still kind of see the scar a little bit.
Yeah.
And I went and did the audition just bleeding out of my arm. Yes. and somebody halfway through was like, is he bleeding?
Is that a prop?
So that's the one story. But then I didn't get it at that audition.
My goodness.
Yeah. So
Feedback was too bloody.
Yes, that was it. Yeah, they wanted me to keep it clean. And then the next year I went back as a sophomore, audition, got it. And then that was a wild ride. So I was goofy, but I was also going to St. Mary's and started going to pretty much daily mass.
Yeah.
And so it was like these kind of two sides of the comedy and trying to do that in a wholesome, respectful sort of way, but then also growing in faith and daily mass.
Can I say something? Like, that's so hard because comedy is so easy to be the easy, dirty
shock value thing, yeah.
And so it takes a higher level of, I just think, talent and wit to do that. And this, by the way, neat how that translates.
Yeah, no, it comes together here.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the class that I was surprised by and just loved, and I think I still use in a lot of ways today, it was a communications class. Mm-hmm. It's called Rhetoric of TV and Film.
Wow, dude.
I did not take that as an accounting major.
Well, and it was with Dr. Rick Rigsby, who's like this big time public speaker now, and so he was phenomenal. And we would break down commercials, movies, and like,
Shut up.
And we would analyze it. And he would say, okay, well, what's the messaging that's coming across here? So like, all the chaos I feel like we've been going through lately with media and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, that's this, that's that. You know, they're pushing that angle or they're editing at this time.
Yeah.
'Cause he used to work in, I think it was San Diego or something. He was in the newsroom there, and he told this story about going in and saying murder rate doubled this year. Well, it went from like 1 to 2 or 2 to 4 or whatever.
Yeah, like how you show it, how you say it.
The framing
framing
of the issue. And he said he got pulled in, and they said, don't ever do that again. But good job.
Do you know that? So when I was in school, he was the chaplain to the football team.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was on the sideline. He was their spiritual leader. And he is just one of those God-fearing, great leaders that has that fire and that just manliness, but is God-focused.
Yes, yeah, he brought that to the classroom, I would say, and then I follow a lot of his stuff on Facebook now because he's still doing a lot of that.
Man.
Yeah.
Tell Rigsby to come on.
Yeah, we didn't get him.
All right, we got that coming. You ready, Mikey?
I'm
Those
ready.
were awesome, Paul.
Thanks.
I'll start with my class. So I was a politics major, which biggest major on campus of the school in Washington, D.C. And one year, or my senior year, I took a graduate level class in political economy. And it was taught by, he wasn't a professor, but he had worked in the Reagan administration.
Oh, wow.
So we had all this real world experience, and I just had never been around something that high level. Most of the students in there were grad students. They were very conversant in economic ideas and thoughts, and I really just sat back and listened. And I didn't know that world
Soaked it
existed.
in.
It was such a high level conversation on the real world and politics and finance and the economy. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool.
Did you ever say like Iran Contra to their ideas?
No, but I learned the real definition of glasnost and perestroika.
Oh,
Defined by a fellow student. And I'd heard those terms, I'm dating myself, but Mikhail Gorbachev, and all the time, I couldn't have defined them.
Can you say them again for those of us that are last?
Yeah,
Perestroika, which is economic opening and more freedom, and glasnost was more like freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of thought, freedom of assembly.
The nose is close to the mouth, so it's like a glass
if
nose?
you say so. Yeah.
Okay, that was a stretch. All right,
You're
moving on.
just Sputniking things out there at this point.
It could work.
Sorry, I was rushing through that one.
Ah. All right, so that was the Politics of Economics Forum. What did you say?
It's just a class. It's a graduate level class.
Okay.
But I took it as a lowly
I would love
undergraduate.
to sit and listen to that stuff. I couldn't pass a test, but I would enjoy the class.
Just want to audit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Who was Mike in college? What were you like?
Kind of like a younger version of my current self in a way, but I love being in D.C. I worked on Capitol Hill. I love being next to the national, it was a National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception. It's now a Basilica. I really appreciated that. On Friday afternoons, in a very geeky way, I would just go to different places in D.C. I would go to museums, and I'd go to the monuments, and I just thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
And most of my classmates were already drinking beer on Friday afternoon. I did some of that. But it was just, I just ate that stuff up. I loved it. So I was doing that stuff as a college student.
I've never been to DC.
You haven't?
I know.
I think it's spectacular.
It's on the list.
Yeah, you just everywhere you look, it's something you've known about since you were a kid.
That's right.
Yeah.
The monuments and the Capitol building and the Supreme Court is just wow. Just left and right.
Any stories that come to mind specifically, like about some of those journeys or a place that you visited that was maybe profound in your D.C. travels?
Oh, I've been in the White House a couple times.
Yeah.
But I think back then, again, dating myself, you said Iran-Contra, very good, because this was the Oliver North trial, and it was tried by the guy who tried the judge a bunch of the Watergate trials. And so I just thought this was going to be the biggest thing ever, and I thought there was going to be this line around the courthouse for people to watch this, because Oliver North was the biggest thing in the news for a couple years. So anyway, I went there, and there weren't that many people, and this reporter from the Washington Post came up and was interviewing people, and I think I was the only person who looked like a college student. So he interviewed me, and I got in the Washington Post. But I just thought that was like a normal thing to do. This is a national event. I'm going to go down there, skip a couple classes. I'm going to sit in on a trial in federal court. And so there were things you could do in Washington, D.C. that you cannot do anywhere else.
Yeah.
I was at the inauguration of President George Herbert Walker Bush and walked right by me on the street with Barbara, and just things like that. You just go and do. And
not going to do it. Wouldn't be prudent.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Man, I did love this questions.
Yeah, it's
Nikki?
a good set.
Yeah.
It's a good set. Yeah, favorite classes, accounting through 27, finance for 10.
I've heard good things.
Those core accounting and finance classes really. But it's funny. I remember specifically because I was very involved outside of class as well. And there was a question at one of our fish camp gatherings that was like, if you could be anything, what would you be? And I was like, I'd be an accounting. Like, what do you mean? Like, why wouldn't you? Like, if I really felt like this, like, vocation of like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Everybody else is like movie star and like all this. I'm like, if that's what you think you should be doing, why aren't you doing it?
Yeah, it's like the practical, like
I
I'm
was
doing
like,
the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh, okay, I should come up with something more fun. I'd be a mythbuster. Like, that'd be cool. But like, that's never going to happen.
But I'd bust myths about accounting.
Yeah.
The first myth is accounting's not cool. Busted.
But no, I think like actual like coolest experience class was definitely like the fellows program. I know General Van Alstyne. It was a Wednesday night class, 3 hours at a time, dinner included, guest lecture every week, and then outside of class, like a group sort of case study, like going through Harvard case studies and kind of really working through projects where if you didn't get an A, you had to redo the project. Basically, like, this is how work is going to be. Like, you can't turn in something with a C and be like, fine, I'll just skirt by. Like, no, you're going to redo it until it's, like, presentable to the client or presentable to your internal client. Like, a really good...
Yeah.
What a lesson. Like, you can't not get an A.
Yes.
Because this is real life.
Correct.
Just go do it until you get it done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or go be a mythbuster.
Yeah, that's right.
You got two options.
That's right. And then who was I? I think, like, I don't know, full throttle. Like, I was always doing something. On campus, off campus. It was generally, 24/7 doing something.
I think if you have, like, this part where you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, I would bet that Freudian slip was this way for you. It's just flow, so it's just energy. It's not like you have to fake it, you know?
Right.
Just go.
Yeah. And I think, like, even from, like, high school, getting, like, I was very involved and played a bunch of sports, so it was, like, I was used to the 14-hour, 16-hour, 18-hour days, so that's just what I kept doing.
Yeah.
I feel very close to all of you guys, and I feel like I'm 20 years old, so why don't we just go ahead and take it off now?
No, Jeff. We're still a video podcast.
Mike, where did you grow up? Now this is Mike's show. I wrote the Monday shows about Mike the Legend, and that made you mad. You're a legend. Everywhere I've been in Dallas. Let me just set this up so we can get you nice
Frame
and
it.
redheaded, full of blushing here.
Yeah.
He's got, it turns red,
Got it.
but it's his whole head.
Oh, redhead. Got it.
Just to be clear, we have a great relationship with Mike.
I love him.
Well,
Well, for now.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see how it holds up,
Check
but we
back.
did. Yeah.
Watch this comeback, guys. I remember when I first got into St. Thomas Aquinas in East Dallas, and Mike Murray to me was somebody that everybody talked about and looked up to. He was known, I'm serious, brother, in the Christ Who News His Parish scene, in just being involved. being somebody like Deacon Ken would say, you got to know Mike Murray. I was actually in a Christ Renews parish that he threw. He doesn't remember me at all. I took off my shirt and he still doesn't.
That's why I don't remember.
Your calling card.
You ain't going to forget this.
Because you skipped the class. Yeah, you were shirtless, but you also weren't there.
The only person I ever kicked out of a retreat, Jeff Scheffelbaum.
That's it. That adds up. That makes sense.
But man, I knew that he had a radio show. I knew that he was involved in all these nonprofits. I knew that he had this lawyer background. We're going to jump into this. And I've turned to you so many times for mentorship and to just say, like, what do I do next? How do I navigate this? You are absolutely a legend. So thanks for being here.
Well, I don't know if I want to thank you for calling me a legend, because I certainly don't feel that way, but thank you very much.
Well, you're a legend in the sense of a map where you help people figure out where things are.
Okay, I'll go with that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay.
That's a great answer.
There we
to that.
go.
Yes. That's what we do. We're a 3-person tag team.
And do you like milk and cheese?
Love it.
Legendary.
I love dairy.
Is that a commercial?
Legend.
Dairy.
Oh my gosh.
You guys are professionals.
Wow. And he caught that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So why is Nick asking me if I like milk and cheese? I know this can be a random show sometimes.
He was just doing some supply chain accounting.
Man, I did like supply chain. That was a great class.
Well, you must be loving the news right now. No, anyway, we can move on from that.
Mike, how did you end up at CUA? Like, where did you grow up? Let's go back to little Mike. Mikey.
So I grew up here, and so I just always been in the Dallas Catholic community. I went to St. Paul's in Richardson, wonderful experience. I went to Jesuit High School in Dallas, wonderful experience.
What, Rangers?
Jesuit, yeah, go forth and fight. No, that was St. Paul's fight song. So anyway, get my fight songs confused. But I think that that's when I started really enjoying being part of things.
Yeah.
And Jesuit was a great thing to be a part of because there was a lot there. And just gave you a sense of pride, a sense of belonging. And Paul and I both went to Jesuit, and they're really, really good at that. It's a wonderful community. And so I just realized I like to be part of things and join things. I've always been a joiner, and that's what I think I saw. It said at Catholic U, I was just an earlier version of myself. I just like being part of things. And a lot of times, especially when you're young, if you join something, you end up leading it because, there's so many young people who want to or maybe can do that kind of thing. So I love growing up here. It's a great experience. I went off to Catholic University of America.
Why there? What drew you in?
Oh, East Coast politics. I knew it would be a very different experience than growing up in the South.
That's not like a Jesuit feeder, right? There's not a bunch of people going with you.
It wasn't that really at all. It was like I thought, I'm gonna go to New York City or Washington D.C. That's where it's at. So I applied to Fordham and Catholic U and Georgetown and some other places. But I'm really glad I wound up particularly at Catholic U because it turned out what that place was really all about was a lot of wonderful, down-to-earth Catholic kids. Mm-hmm. It was not an elitist school. They all grew up like I did. They big families, Catholic high school, and it was 88% of the enrollment was Catholic. So
wow.
So in a way, sometimes you want to kind of break out, but I ended up thinking, okay, I'm going to Washington D.C. and I interned for a senator, and that was all very cool. But what I take away from it was just the people. My closest friends, DEA, FBI, F-16 fighter pilot, United States Army. I mean, those were my friends. These were just good guys, and there was very little pretenses at Catholic U. Most people did not have a car. I know this was in the 80s, but still.
Sure.
It was just
nobody had a cell phone.
And nobody had a cell phone. No. So that was really what I took away from there more than anything was just the people.
Yeah. And then, did you stick around in D.C. after you graduated, or you went straight
I thought
back
I would,
to Texas?
But I just wanted to come back here. I have a little brother who's 14 years younger than me, and I didn't want to miss out on him growing up. And so I came back not knowing what I would do, but there was always this tradition of Jesuit, of these young alumni coming back 2 or 3 years. Some stayed forever. And I got to know a couple when I was a student. I just thought, that seems like a really cool thing to do, but never really thought more about it after that. And Paul and I both did that, went back and taught and coached. And I walked in the principal's office middle of the summer because I hadn't found a job yet. And I thought, what would it take for a guy like me to come back here? Well, they just had the perfect opening for me because I minor in history. I'd played basketball at Jesuit, and they needed an admissions officer, and they needed someone who knew the school. And so like that, I was in. I did those 3 jobs, and I was in my early 20s, and it was an absolute blast.
That's cool.
It was so much fun. I coached year round, and it was just a really good time.
Is Paul following in your footsteps?
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just picked up on that.
Yeah. Working my way to that office right over there.
Lucid Private Office.
That's right.
.com.
Damn. That's awesome. Okay, so you have that drawback. First of all, that's heartwarming that you would come back to be around your little bro. I think that's so cool. As a little brother, you always want that kind of connection back to your older siblings. So that's really, really powerful. Talk us through, and somehow you ended up at SMU of America.
Yes, exactly. So I also knew, being a politics major, I need to figure out a way to make a living. So I wanted to go to law school, but I also thought I might be in politics one day. And I thought, well, if I go to law school, back then that was a prerequisite, seemingly, to be a politician, was to be a lawyer. So I was still thinking along those lines. But again, I think I only applied to SMU because I wanted to stay in Dallas. But I had this community. Until I was almost 30, I played softball every year with all guys in my class, pretty much, at Jesuit.
Wow.
I mean, and I thought that was normal. I went out Saturday nights with all my high school buddies, and people I kind of keep in touch with one guy from high school.
Yeah, if you went to my high school, comment and I'll send you $100.
Yeah.
Prove it.
This episode will be out there for a long time. I bet you somebody takes you up on that.
First person to do it and proves to me they went to my high school, which I'm not going to say what it was. It's not hard to figure it out.
I told you I have a good story about your high school that I haven't told you.
Okay, well,
yet.
you can still tell me then. That's
I'll tell
fine.
you
Nobody's
later.
listening from that school that went to school with me. No, you had to be at school with me in my 4 years. I'm gonna.
A lot of qualifications.
Okay, are you going to tell me that story later? We'll get to that.
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty good story.
All right.
So anyway, went to SMU Law School and was able to stay in Dallas, and then just started getting involved in the stuff. I joined so at Jesuit, I had this community as a teacher, but I went to law school, and I had great friends there, but it wasn't this Catholic community, and I just sensed I needed to be part of Catholic people to grow, and I joined St. Thomas Aquinas, which was an awesome parish. And but I started going to this young adults group called the Sarah clubs that work in vocations. Well, the guy who invented the ATM machine realized that they weren't going to attract a lot of young people to a group of people who are basically their grandparents. And these Sarah clubs, they're older people.
Yeah.
And so he started.
Who's the guy who invited
Don Wetzel.
Okay.
He told everyone, because he was an innovative guy, says they're not going to come. These 25 are not going to come to these meetings, and he was right. And so with a few people, he started that, and I came in very early on, and it was really a forerunner to the YCP today. And we didn't necessarily have the business edge, but we did all the spiritual stuff first, and then the social things all happened. There's like 40 marriages came out of it, like 12 religious vocations.
Wow.
And we had these big events. We brought Scott Hahn and Father Benedict Rochelle and others to Dallas. We did a lot of youth ministry. We took kids to Steubenville South and these retreats.
That's awesome.
But it was all these like-minded people. So it's like Flip Howard came down from Franciscan University Steubenville. About 40 of his people of his era came down. Only 2 or 3 were from Dallas, like Flip. So, but they wanted to come to Dallas, and there were jobs here. And so all of a sudden you had this infusion of all these on-fire Catholic people who were well-formed and knew how to do youth ministry and play guitar. They all know how to play guitar. So
Well, you have to go to Franciscan.
yeah, I think so.
How is there a campfire here all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Oh, whoosh. Dun, 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 dun.
Fire, you
Yeah.
say.
But that's when I realized I kind of gravitated to that, and I was the second president of the organization. It's just how I kind of thought, is why would I join something and spend time and not really contribute or do anything?
Have you ever figured
All
out that's
in.
not normal?
Yeah, I know it's kind of developed to be a problem in my life because I'm trying to say no, but I just like it, and I think I ended up what I'm doing today is because I realized I kind of like this nonprofit stuff, this
That's
volunteer stuff, and I think, well, maybe I have a knack for it, and then I was doing it. Really started at Catholic U or even a Jesuit. Just was drawn to that kind of like running for student council and things like that. So.
There's something
really
about you guys, though, this like men for others mantra, but it's
There
not
is.
all Jesuit grads. There's plenty that aren't like that. There's plenty who don't even care about like the faith part after they graduate. But y'all, Bill Sladek, all these people that I know,
I think
it's
it's
formative.
for the people who kind of have that spark or there's like something there. They really do a good job of fanning the flame.
That makes sense.
Is what happens. Like, and they try to obviously instill the spark as much as possible across the board. But you get all types, right?
Yeah.
So it's just. You cast the net and see what you catch.
It's amazing.
Yeah, no, from the outside, I'm like, man, Jesuit seems like, cool.
Well, when it comes to brotherhood, esprit de corps,
Yes.
they've got it bottled.
Yeah.
It's just people want to be. They want to be there. They want to be part of things. Even the parents, people.
Well, and they want to hire teachers who also understand that whole community and ethos and everything. And that's so you keep cultivating it, keep kind of passing it down to the next generation there. So pretty cool.
Man, so speaking of men for others, we're going to blow your mind with a game for others.
Nice transition.
Very good.
I
This game
love
is called Blessed Are the Joke Makers, for they shall inherit the 80 points.
All right.
Love it. And so what we're going to do is we've got a character card and a Catholic card game card, and we have to answer the prompt on the Catholic card game card as this character, and you get to award the points based on which one you like the most.
You're judge.
You are judge, jury, and executioner.
Okay.
Yeah,
Ooh, I
no
like that.
separation of powers in this political major. So, all right. So the character we have to be is as the boss. I am guilty of blank. Gosh, you guys, as the boss of Undivided Life, I am guilty of taking off my shirt almost every day. It just, it gets hot here at lucidprivateoffices.com. lucidprivateoffice.com.
Let me sit with
Yes, here at Jesuit, we do not want to welcome anybody who's never graduated from here, so we will just be hiring all of you back here. I am guilty of favoritism, nepotism, and Jesuitism.
I am the definition of humility, and I am guilty of, oh my goodness, so many things, but primarily big timing you. I'm here to let you know that I will high five you for no reason, make you feel uncomfortable for no reason, except for my own enjoyment. And at the end of the day, don't forget, I'm the boss.
I would work for that guy. He sounds really neat. Mike, 80 points. Where's it going?
This is pretty easy. Nick Bessner.
Oh,
Let's
my
go.
goodness. Way to go, buddy. All right, Nick. All right, Nick, for winning this 80 points, that just puts you 7,000 points behind Paul.
Oh, yeah. One at a time.
And 80 points ahead of Jeff.
Pretty much.
Not bad.
Yeah, that's really getting ugly around here. So for being our celebrity guest judge, you're getting a pair of John Paul II socks from sockreligious.com.
All right.
You can just buy these on their website, or you can put a / in BeatiDudes and get 10% off if you're listening to BeatiDudes. We love sockreligious.com. And if you want, you can put them on your feet during the break. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Where did this one come from?
The team at Aquinas Wealth Advisors believes that good values and good returns are not mutually exclusive. Using a tech-smart and morally sound approach, they provide investment alternatives that align with Catholic teachings without sacrificing returns. These days, faith-driven investors are finding it hard to know where their money is going. They have no visibility into what their dollars are supporting, but there's a better way. Thanks to the Faith and Finance Score from Aquinas Wealth Advisors, you can look into your current holdings to see what you're supporting and make a switch to an advisor that aligns with your values and gives power to your voice. Check out AquinasWealth.com today.
Hey BeatiDudes, it's Jeff here. When Nick and I set out and we started this company, Undivided Life, we decided to not use traditional healthcare, but we went with Solidarity HealthShare because we thought it was an affordable and ethical alternative that matched the needs of our business and our growing families. Since then, my family put Solidarity to the test. We've had pregnancies, babies, emergency room visits, even a brain surgery for one of my children, and Solidarity has been an incredible partner and has also had the cost and the ethical approach that we love. Here's a link for you to go check it out. learnmore.solidarityhealthshare.org/BeatiDudes. This is your chance to be in solidarity with the Scheffelbein family.
Hi, it's Paul Kolker from the BeatiDudes here, and I just wanted to share with you guys that I also, outside of the show, perform improv comedy on a regular basis with a group called Divine Comedy. So what we do is we come up with everything on the spot, so whether you're looking for faith-filled, fun, family-friendly comedy for your youth night, or whether you're looking for clean comedy for your corporate event, Divine Comedy can perform for your group and even get you in on the action. So if you'd like to hire us to come out and perform for your next event, check out DivineComedyImprov.com. Divine Comedy, an inferno of fun.
Stop what you're doing and listen to the BeatiDudes.
Welcome back, everybody. We're here with Mike Murray. Mike, we were just kind of getting into, your story coming back into Dallas, getting involved as a young 30-something. I guess, what is that, from there to here, your continuation of your faith journey, continuation of your career? I think it's one thing to kind of start to explore what is this nonprofit thing, and then knowing what you've done and where you've been and where you are.
Right.
You've gone kind of full on.
Full Mikey.
Legendary, if you will.
When you start doing one thing, it just gets kind of easier and easier to do, or you know about it. So I had a radio show, then I stopped, and then when the Sarah Club wanted to do a radio show, they knew I had done a radio show. So next thing you know, I'm doing a second radio show. So only so many people are doing that. So I think that's part of it.
Also, be careful who you share your resume with.
That's exactly right. But I always say I'm getting way more out of this. When I was in this young adult group, I got so much out of that because I grew so much in my faith. I was around all these wonderful people. And I think the way you discover who you are, you discover your vocation, is you need to be in an environment where that's fostered and people believe in the same things you believe in. So I just felt like I was getting more back than I was giving, and I just enjoyed it. It's a good question. I just think to me, it happened kind of naturally, but I think a lot of it was I enjoyed it. And after a while, you do it for 10, 15, 20 years, you kind of know what you're doing in some of these. Yeah. If you're on enough committees and boards, and then you're on a board, you know how it's supposed to look and how it's supposed to work. And so I think it just becomes a way of life.
I love it. I'm picking up on two threads with almost everything you're saying here, which, no, these are good. These are good. I'm not going to just run you down here. That's later in the show.
That's its own segment.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing.
That hasn't happened already.
No, but I see this very strong strand of community, like wanting to be, in and around healthy, holy, happy community, all of that. But then I also see this whole say yes to things, right? Like, don't be afraid to take some risk, take some responsibility, step out in faith and try something, because like you said, it gets easier as you do it. And then next thing you know, people are calling on you to, it's the whole, you've been faithful in a little, now I reward you or set you over cities, because you've been faithful in a little bit.
The city of Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's incredible.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think, I've lost my train of thought.
Well, I feel like we're gonna just blow you up with compliments so that it hurts less when we cut you later. So
yeah,
soft cushion to fall.
I also
into.
think that.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, you're totally right about the community. So people think I am somewhat of an extrovert. I like to be around other people, but I think as an introvert too, I needed that community to draw me out. That I feel comfortable in that community. Yeah. So I kind of saw where I could place myself to be part of things and to meet people, and that happened at Jesuit. I realized, okay, these are the guys I like. Let me go sit at the lunch table with them. I think that's kind of happened in other places as well. I mentioned all the guys I went to college with who ended up being in the military, law enforcement, government. I respected that, and that was my group.
Sure.
So I think that's a lot of it is where are you comfortable, but community. But I know we're going to get into this later, but I benefited so much from being part of communities.
Yeah.
I don't think I could all by myself gravitate towards that or bring that to me. It just, you put yourself in the middle of a great environment and wonderful things happen.
Well, that's a good point, right? And like for anybody, you kind of gravitate toward the average of your 5 best friends, right? Like, who are you spending time with? What does that look like? Who are they? What are their priorities? Because they'll often kind of merge with yours.
Right.
for the better or the worse.
Yeah.
So you
right?
tried to fly a
Right.
plane and join the FBI. No, I'm just kidding.
And the DEA and
Yes.
the CIA and
Right.
all at once.
You know, you talked about when you got to college, you were excited because you had this shrine, this Marian shrine. That's not a normal thing, by the way, for 18-year-olds to be like, high five.
Yes.
I would do the high five.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known about the Marian shrine.
Well, and you would have been shirtless.
Correct. Where did that come from?
Well, it was funny because I this is incredible. It's right on campus. I would go to Mass on Sunday morning, and I was one of the few students there. Now, kids at Catholic U went to Mass, but they preferred the 9 o'clock Sunday evening Mass in the dorm. I was like, you have a national shrine. It looks like a church in Europe. Why wouldn't you go here? Well, I don't know, just a little nerdy, or I just thought that was pretty cool. And why wouldn't you walk over there and go to that? It's like,
Sure.
Why wouldn't you try to get an internship on Capitol Hill? It's 2 metro stops away from campus. You know, why wouldn't you do that? But a lot of it, I think, is just how I grew up. My parents went to Catholic school, K through college. They both went to University of Dallas. They were well-formed, the wonderful families. And we were Catholic. And I didn't know this till I was older, but when we went to Galveston or the Grand Canyon, we still went to Sunday Mass. And apparently a lot of people, when they go on vacation, don't do that, right? We never thought twice about it. That's just what you did. Yeah. And so we grew up in this. We were put in good schools and good communities, and it's just all we knew. And a lot of it just seemed very natural to me. When I was presented with those kinds of opportunities, well, yeah, that's kind of what Catholics do, right? Well, that's what my parents did.
Where were you in the pecking order of siblings?
I was number 2 of 5.
Okay.
So the first 4 all came pretty quick, and then we had this bonus baby who was 14 years younger than me, which it really just brought the family to life again. We were all these self-absorbed teenagers, and now you have this little smiley, little kids
So
are like,
cool.
and little boys. It was the coolest thing ever. But also, I think that's what led me to believe I wanted to be a dad.
Yeah.
Because I was changing his diaper and babysitting him and taking him to ball games and things like that. And it was easier when I was a dad. I didn't think twice about changing the diaper. I had done it. But I realized I really, really enjoyed it. And so I didn't want to, of course, I'll probably end up getting married and have kids. Like, no, I really want to do this because I experienced how great it was.
Man, I love that. So we said at the beginning of the show that I was down in College Station earlier. Well, I met up with Luca, who we knew when he was in high school here locally, and just had a brunch with him. And I'm like, Luca, how's college? I was asking him, I wanted to make sure he was doing all right. I said, what do you do for fun? He goes, I go to the St. Mary's Student Center. And I'm like, and do what? And he goes, pretend to study, but I just like seeing everybody. And I said, what else? He goes, I'm involved in John 15 and in this. And I was like, gosh, this guy's getting a different college experience than me. And I'm not going to sit around and have regret or be jealous.
Sure.
I was just so proud of him. When you go to college and your faith grows and you somehow have that foundation that you had from your family, from your education, that he certainly has as well. Same guy, by the way, is the one who keeps sending us pictures of our stickers at St. Mary's.
Oh, yeah.
I was wondering. Yeah.
That's how he earned a free brunch.
That's awesome.
No, that's really cool.
Very cool.
Okay, so talk about you don't practice law. Does the law degree help you?
Yes, it does. There's something about that training that when you read something, you see everything. You don't miss anything on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And then you can understand things. I can, when you go buy a house and you get a stack of paper this big, I can look at they're legal documents, and I can look at it for 15 seconds and know exactly what it says. And that's just not me. It's law school. You comprehend so well and so quickly, and you just don't miss things.
Yeah.
And also I think you become more articulate because a legal brief or a mock trial, every single word counts.
Yeah.
And so you can always draw upon that. So I think generally as a professional, it's a huge help. But it's always good to be conversant in that. But you kind of think a little differently, and you read differently, and you try to speak a little differently.
Write differently as well.
You write differently. Yeah, and I think it probably more linear because of that, and everything's got to be, all your ducks have to be in a row and be real logical. And
well, yeah, so it might not be like, crazy poetry or something, but you were able to write a very ordered, set of thoughts.
They teach you. That's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
Does that have an inverse relationship to your ability to give great high fives? I'm just thinking about the skill set involved, because I got really good at that.
It's like, how binding is this high five?
Exactly.
I had one of my old bosses had a law degree from SMU, and he was like, "Yeah, law school is like you basically just read 500 pages a day for 3 years."
Right.
Wow.
More or less.
Wow.
And most of it's pretty boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not very interesting.
So what do you do to stave off the boredom? Like how does one survive that?
Well, I joined the young adult Catholic group.
Oh, there you go.
And I ran a marathon, and you have to do some things. Oh, I coached basketball. I coached junior high, Catholic junior high boys basketball team, and it was a blast. It was so much fun, and it was a great diversion. And it was my third year when it really gets boring. So that was a great thing. But that was you benefit from that the rest of your life. I still know those guys. I see their parents around town at different events. I could just go on, but you just kind of keep going back into the community and doing things like that. But even when I was at SMU Law School, I kind of kept coming back to my roots and what I enjoyed.
Nice.
I feel like if you were reading 500 pages a day, then you have the ability to go run a marathon because they both sound pretty boring. Like, what should I do?
Yeah,
the same thing, only running.
Is pretty boring. I've done it. The training is horrible.
Yeah. Just run,
Like,
read.
In college, it's like, well, I'll just like go to bed early because I have to wake up and run for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Fun.
Fun.
It was a diversion.
Yeah. Do you want to share a story about my high school now or off air?
Off air.
Okay, fair enough. There's a teaser for all of you who will never know until you subscribe to BeatiDudes After Hours.
It's not scandalous.
We'll do the reverse. We'll do the reverse. If you pay us $100,
We'll tell you.
And it's not that interesting to a general audience, probably,
Okay.
but it
Okay,
would be to me and
$10.
Jeff. Yeah.
But I will say $100 is enough for you to get into the After Hours Club.
Maybe a pair of socks.
Is that weird?
Yeah, a little
That's
bit. I feel uncomfortable.
I just call it even like after dark sounds a little better.
He did that a little too well, don't you think? That was a little.
Yeah, that's
like-
yeah.
It's almost like he was.
after sunrise.
Yeah.
It's almost like he was at an off-Broadway show where.
I was shirtless.
Yeah, where you were shirtless.
True story.
That's not a joke.
Okay, last question, and then we'll move into Reverse Simpsons, and anybody else can jump in too. But what are you excited about right now, Mike? Like, what's energizing you? What are you looking forward to? What's pumping you up in life? Whether that's work, personal, go get a doctorate in law or something. I don't know.
I think
I guess a Juris
that
Doctorate is a doctorate.
It'd be marathon law.
Marathon law. Yeah, go for it.
Well, as much as I've enjoyed all these things I've joined, I feel like, okay, I've done a lot of this. I do like it, but really my first responsibility is my family.
Yeah.
And I have 5 kids, and I'm trying to push back from all that a little bit because there is so much there, right? And now I have 2. My family's getting interesting because now I have 2 kids in college, and I have 3 kids out of the house, more or less. And I have 2 that are still pretty little. They're in grade school. And I just think there's so much I can do there.
Yeah.
And then with the college kids, it develops more into a mentor role, and I have something I can offer there. And it's a different type of relationship. And really, that's what I really want to do. When the kids left for college, I realized how fleeting it is and how fast it happens. And you look back and you go, I missed that opportunity. I messed up here. And so I really feel more like I just want to make the absolute most out of this that I can. So
That's
I
awesome.
really... And I should have been more my mindset all along. And I'm not saying it wasn't at all, but I get so jazzed by being part of the school advisory council, which is great. It's nice, but in the grand scheme of things, I'd rather invest more back into my kids, and that in a way is. But I just think more and more that's what my focus is.
Yeah. Well, and I know on the bonus show on Friday we're going to be talking about some family stuff and different parts of the journey you've been through. We always close out the Monday show with something unique. And I want to put something out there that we've never done before. I want you, Mike, to tell us a charity, any charity in the world that is important to you. What's an important charity in Mike's world? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but just it can be anything in the world that's important to Mike the Murray.
Well, I've asked myself the question, if I had to strip it all away of all these different things I've done, what would it be right now? It would be my kids' Catholic grade school, Mary Immaculate in Farmers Branch. And it's a special place for a lot of reasons, and I really love it, but it gets down more than any other charity to who we are as a family, and it's our schools. We're in our parish. We're there every day. So there's other great things out there, but maybe a little more far removed. But essentially, it's your home and your school and your parish and your neighborhood, right, and your family. So I that is my favorite charity now, and because there's so many good things happening there. And there's religious sisters there now, which is not common anymore in Catholic grade schools. And Nashville Dominicans are fantastic, and we have a great pastor, and it's just a wonderful community. So that's, and I think Catholic education is so important, and it's a very challenging thing. I know in this diocese, it's just hard, right? And I think Mary Immaculate's doing it well, and if that was the only thing I could be involved in and invested in as a nonprofit, that's what it would be right now in my life.
My friend, the BeatiDudes are making a donation to Mary Immaculate and Farmers Branch. We've never done this before.
No, yeah, this is great.
I didn't know this was what was happening.
You're the first person to ever get a donation made in the name of the BeatiDudes, and also this gives me a chance to show off that we have BeatiDudes credit cards because we don't mess around with anything. For $1,000 a month, we'll give you one that has a $100 limit.
We know ROI.
Exactly. Yeah, we know how this works. So I'll fill out the rest of this in between the shows here, but we are going to be making a donation in your name to Mary Immaculate School on behalf of the BeatiDudes. And then you can explain what that is to Sister Marianne and everybody else at the school.
I will.
That's awesome.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Well, I got to tell y'all something. We're going to be coming back on the bonus show with Mike Murray. We're going to be talking about family and health and prayer and the whole journeys that we've been on, and Mike specifically. Mike, you are a prayer warrior at the Lucid Private Office. You are the one who always brings it back to prayer. I just want to thank you for that. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but does everybody want to try to pray at the same time, or does just one of us want to try to pray at the same time?
We could let's pray at the same time.
Time?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Make this short. Name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Come,
Our Father, who art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. We'll see you in the halls of Mary Immaculate. For the rest of you, we will
see you in the Eucharist.
God bless.
Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to join us at our undersized table, subscribe to the video version of the show on YouTube by typing @ that's the symbol @, so shift and 2 on your keyboard, @ the _ BeatiDudes on YouTube. We'll see you there.